somebody.
This is your official spoiler warning. If you don't want spoilers for the game, click off.
Have you finally pieced it all together? Case closed. This is how your justice ends.
So in these trying times, it's important to find ways to distract yourself. One of the ways that I've been doing it recently is playing Persona 5 Royal. I recently finished the game and thought that it would be fun to give my thoughts on it. A quick warning, there is going to be lots of opinions in this video, but it's a review, and really, you're on the internet. What are you expecting? If you're unfamiliar with the game, here's a rundown. If you want to skip the rundown and just get straight to the review, go to this time code. Persona 5 Royal is an updated re-release of Persona 5. It takes place in modern-day Tokyo and follows the protagonist, codenamed Joker, after his transfer to Shujin Academy on probation, due to an assault of which he was falsely accused. During the school year, he and his new friends discover a secret world called the Metaverse, which they can enter through an app mysteriously on their phones. The Metaverse is a world created by the distorted desires of corrupted people. When one's desires become particularly distorted, a palace forms in the Metaverse, a manifestation of their true feelings. Every palace has a treasure, the origin of their desires, and once a route is secured, the Phantom Thieves send a calling card and steal the treasure, and their heart. The person will have a change of heart and confess to anything they did, basically growing a conscience. In the Metaverse, the Phantom Thieves have the power to summon their persona, a manifestation of their rebellious spirit. Joker, the wildcard and leader of the group, has the ability to summon multiple personas. Joker makes deals with people called confidants, and strengthening his bonds makes him stronger. The gameplay is balanced by spending time in the real world and cognitive world. Each palace has a deadline, and if you don't steal the target's heart in time, the game ends. That's the basic rundown of the game, so now let's get into the review. Persona is synonymous with great music by composer Shoji Meguro. Persona 5 Royal specifically has no bad songs, in my opinion. The closest any songs come to below average are the Mementos theme, and Okumura's Palace theme. But these songs aren't even bad, just not quite as good as the rest of the stellar soundtrack. Some standout songs, in my opinion, include Take Over, and I Believe, the song playing in the background. The music in this game is fantastic, and one of the strongest aspects. It always fits the atmosphere it's being played over, and is almost always such a great song that I'd be willing to add it to any playlist.
Yeah, some days I feel unfazed, like when I'm with my friends with a cup raised.
Royal has a full cast of rich, interesting characters, and Mishima. I kid. Basically every character is well developed, and even if some aren't quite as likable, it's intentional. The Phantom Thieves are comprised of the protagonist, Morgana, who you met in the Metaverse, Ryuji Sakamoto, the first guy you met at Shujin, Aunt Kamiki, your classmate and victim of Kamoshida, Yusuke Kitagawa, Madarame's pupil, Makoto Nijima, student council president, Futaba Sakura, daughter of Sojiro Sakura and master hacker, Haru Okumura, daughter of Kunikazu Okumura and heir to Okumura Foods, Goro Akechi, the detective prince, and Sumeri Yoshizawa, the gymnast and victim of Maruki's flawed counseling. In addition to these characters, there are also many additional confidants outside of the Phantom Thieves. Every single confidant has their own fleshed out storyline, and they are very well defined. You'll never be bored when spending time with your confidants, as their stories are very interesting. In addition, the voice actors in this game are top-notch. All the performances are 100% believable and accurate. When you look at a character and imagine what they might sound like, it's probably pretty accurate to how they do sound. Each role was picked with clear intentions, and the choices were fantastic. The characters play a very big part in the game, sucking you in, and adds to the quality of the game in a very large way. As mentioned in the intro, the gameplay is split into two parts, the real world and the metaverse. In the real world, you spend time with your confidants and manage your daily life. In the metaverse, you traverse through palaces, or Mementos, the public's palace. You have 2 time slots in a day, and you can choose to spend them in the real life or in the metaverse, though you can only go to the metaverse during the day. Through spending time with your confidants, you unlock special abilities. For example, spending time with a skilled gamer will improve your gun skills in the metaverse. Members of the Phantom Thieves will also gain abilities when you spend time with them, such as enduring an otherwise fatal attack. When you are aware of your target, there will be a deadline to secure a route to the treasure and steal their heart, and you must balance your time as to finish the palace in time or it's game over. In the metaverse, the Phantom Thieves have the power to fight with their personas. Like Pokemon, personas have strengths and weaknesses. The 11 skill types include physical, gun, electric, fire, ice, wind, psychokinesis, nuclear, bless, curse, and almighty. Travel through the palace defeating shadows, and then fight the palace owner to steal their heart. Speaking of palaces, I want to talk about them quickly, so here's my thoughts on every palace, ranked from worst to best. Repetitive, too long, the story arc is flawed, definitely the worst palace, even with the improvements made in Royal. The boss fight is worse this time around too, being so flawed that it's easier on Restless than easy, with a bigger damage amp for baton passes the harder the difficulty. Long, though you are given plenty of time to complete it. The light bridge puzzles are the new airlock puzzle. Fafnir is really annoying to deal with for how often he shows up. The boss fight may have been a bit too much of a difficulty spike, although it was a satisfying climax. Very lengthy even when rushing through it, the rat puzzles were unfortunately mostly unchanged. The new twist to the boss where he eliminates everyone but Joker is interesting, but it was an unexpected change and led to me dying the first time around. Sort of boring, 4 trial puzzles are annoying, Yaldabaoth is oddly unchanged. Now we're getting into the good palaces. Great music, just the right length. Though the painting puzzles are a little annoying, they are a very small part of the palace. The new change to the boss fight where Madarame summons counterfeits of himself is very fitting and cool. Amazing music, not too long, though the maze at the 99% mark is annoying. The new part of the boss fight where he summons bodyguards makes total sense and makes the fight more interesting. Not a huge fan of the atmosphere, though it is well done. The boss fight is a good amount better this time around with Futaba blocking incoming damage for your party, and the area before the fight can now be skipped with your grapple hook. A great example for first dungeons in RPG games. Teaches you the mechanics, isn't so hard it's going to turn you away, and is just fun. The music is nice, it's satisfyingly paced, and it all makes total thematic sense. The new part of the boss where he brings in Mishima and Shiho is such a good change, I'm surprised it wasn't in the original. Still the best palace. Fantastic music, great story arc, perfect length, perfect puzzles. This palace is the closest you're gonna get to perfect. The new twist to the boss fight where she spins the wheel to choose what skills she uses adds a nice bit of difficulty to a previously pretty easy fight, even if you were underleveled. So that just about sums up my thoughts on the game. If I had to give the game a number rating, I'd have to say it was a 10 out of 10. But that doesn't mean it's a perfect game. No game is perfect, so if a 10 out of 10 meant it was perfect, then no game would ever be 10 out of 10. So that's the score it gets, and that's high praise. The only other games that I've played and believed were a 10 out of 10 were Super Mario Odyssey and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. When you're up there with Mario and Zelda, you know you're doing something right. Nearly every aspect of this game is fantastic, to the point where this can be considered one of the best JRPGs of all time, and I have no problem with calling it my favorite game of 2020 so far.